Well, I don't know about you, but we could all dream of a second home, right? Maybe at the beach or the lake, maybe in the mountains. But have you considered the cost of all that? All those things that you had to go involved with that. Here, Marshall Clay with the Welsh Group joins us now to help you navigate that and evaluate whether or not that's something that you can do. Good to see you this morning.
Hey, good to see you.
I mean, obviously, you got to first have the means to do that. But there are some people who would love to have a second home.
Yeah, it's a great dream that a lot of people have. But I think what I see a lot of people doing is they don't think through all the ins and outs of this, and it's oftentimes that the idea of owning a second home is better than the actual reality of owning it. And so when you look at the current environment, you've got property values almost as high as they've ever been.
Right.
Property taxes as a result of that are higher. You've got higher interest rates, higher maintenance costs, and higher insurance costs. And we've seen recently with Helene in North Carolina, and you see Milton down in Florida, and so those insurance costs are likely to continue to escalate. So when I'm evaluating this with clients, I don't really try to convince them to do one thing or the other. I really just try to educate them, and hopefully they can absorb all these different data points and make an informed decision.
And you really have to self-evaluate what you're willing to pay, put up with, invest in time, resources, and everything else, right?
Exactly. And so I always say the first thing you need to assess when you're going about this is assess the potential joy gained. And so I always take the beach, for example. There's a lot of folks that like the beach, and they say, well, look, if I purchase this, Marshall, I'm actually going to be going to the beach 3 or 4 months out of the year, and it's a great thing. It improves my mental state. I'm saying, well, look, this is a great thing for somebody like you.
Okay.
But if you're one of these folks that says, yeah, I go down there once every couple of every 6 months or so, but I also like to go to Miami, or I like to go to New York. And so if you're that type of person, maybe you'll start to resent this property because you'll say, well, we own this property.
We'll hardly ever go there.
Yeah, we can't go to New York.
What about the person who wants to rent it out?
Well, and I think that's part of it. So if you're assessing the use, if you're going to use it for your exclusive enjoyment, that's one thing. But if you're going to look to rent the property out, okay, well now when are you going to rent it? Because the times of peak demand where you can actually charge the most are oftentimes the times that you want to go down there. If you're talking about the beach, the 4th of July, the Memorial Days, the Labor Days, those are the times that you can get the most rent. Doesn't mean that you can't rent it out other times of the year, but you just have to understand that at those times of year, you're going to be able to offer or be able to receive the most rent. And then when we're talking about price appreciation, everybody goes into these things as an investment, typically.
Sure.
And so how long are you going to hold the property, right? Are you going to hold it for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years? I always tell folks, look, if you're going to go on this for investment purposes, you got to be willing to hold this for at least 5 to 10 years, because anything can happen in the short run. And then you hope that you have some price appreciation, but then you got to deal with capital gains on the back end. A lot of times people use these properties, they're depreciating the property, so there can be some pretty stiff tax consequences on the back end.
Is that part of the complications of transfer and, all?
Yeah, I think potentially, it's the potential, capital gains, but then also when you're dealing with family members, and I work with a lot of folks that say, look, we've had this property in our family for years, we want to transfer that to our children. Well, when you start getting 3, 4, 5 kids, it gets even more complex because one child may use it more than the other, and it can really make Thanksgiving dinner interesting.
I think what I'm hearing is, before you decide to do something like that, definitely weigh the costs and all different factors.
Absolutely.
Marshall Clay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.